All righty. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Wednesday, February 24th meeting of the East Long Meadow Conservation Commission. At this time, I need to ask if anybody in the audience is recording the meeting. I see we have no public attendees tonight, so we can move along from that. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the February 10th, 2021 minutes. I did review those myself. I personally had no changes. Anyone on the commission? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the February 10th, 2021 minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. We'll now move to the roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Francis?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
I'm a yes vote also. Next item on the agenda is the continuation of the public meeting for the request of determination of applicability for 16 Winterbury Lane pool construction. Last Saturday, myself, Jeff, Tony, and Francis were out on the site visit. We saw the markings that were in, or the boundaries that were put in by Giuliano Pools. Comments from the commission?
Thought it was, looked good. Just recommend that they do appropriate erosion control measures because it slopes down towards the wetland and the habitat protected area from the pool area.
Yes, that's what I was thinking also. He did put that in the plan that they were going to do the erosion controls. So what I was thinking was in the conditions that we could add to a -3 determination, one would be for them to call us for an erosion control inspection, and then for the Conservation Commission to reserve the right to conduct site visits during the project.
Very good. Thank you. Because with the snow, we're not getting as good a picture of what it will be like when they actually start the construction. So it'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go back.
Craig, I will note that Tim Goodell has his hand raised in the audience.
Okay.
Should I bring him in?
Sure, if you would like to speak, Tom. Yep.
Yeah, Tim Goodell's on the line. Are
Tim,
you able to hear?
Do you have video, Tim, or no?
I don't.
Okay.
So what I heard is that the appropriate erosion control measures being in place, and that you would like to reserve the right to have on-site visits.
Correct.
Yeah, that's absolutely no problem, and you're welcome to work those. Whether they're a surprise or not doesn't make any difference. But if you want to schedule them or let me know, you can just let me know directly.
Okay. Based on that, I will entertain a motion for a -3 determination, saying the work described in the request, it was in the buffer zone as defined in the regulations, but will not alter an area subject to protection under the Act. Therefore, said work does not require the filing of a notice of intent subject to the following conditions, which are the inspection of the erosion controls and reserving the right for site visits.
And just to, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're in the middle of a motion, so is that okay? So moved.
Yep. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Tim, did you have something?
I just wanted to clarify that those inspections for the erosion control, you want to, we would put those up. You want to see those prior to construction or during construction?
Yes, prior.
And Bethany, I can work those through you.
Yep, yep.
Very good.
That would be something, Tim, that doesn't necessarily require the entire board to conduct a site visit. We could just, possibly have one person swing by.
Yep.
You
I'll
know,
work with Bethany on that. No problem.
yeah. So we'll be able to do that pretty quick.
Great.
It's not like you can do the erosion controls and wait 2 weeks or anything. We'll be able to get out there in a day or two at the most.
That'd be great.
Okay. All right. Motion's been made and seconded. Go to the roll call vote. Jeffrey,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I for myself also. Good luck, Tim.
Thank you very much, all. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great evening.
You too.
All righty. Next item on the agenda goes into project monitoring. I see Tom Morissette is in the audience this evening, who was the representative for the applicant on 99 Maple Shade Ave. At this time, I have been in touch with Mark Stinson, and I spoke with Tom Morissette briefly about a week ago. So I don't think we should be discussing it tonight without it being on the agenda and properly posted. But so what I would like to do is have it added to next week's agenda, and I will send out the information from my communication with Tom Morissette and Mark Stinson of the DEP. Tom, would you like to come in? We could let Tom Morissette in if you would like to.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Oh, okay, great. I did start the video. It didn't start. I don't know why. There we go. There we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pete Levesque is also in the audience, and we've asked him to assist us with this. So if it's not going to be until next week, that's fine. We would just ask that Pete Levesque be allowed to speak also.
Yeah, that would be fine, but just to make sure we're doing things correctly with the open meeting law and everything, Tom,
Mm-hmm.
it would be best if we posted it on the agenda, and add it that way, and we should be able to resolve the matter at our next meeting.
Excellent. Okay.
Craig,
Alright.
just to be clear, is this under project monitoring or would this be under a new filing?
Other business or something.
I'm going to say this would be under the application for a certificate of compliance.
Okay, so we'll just put that back on. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Very good.
Righty.
Then you can update us on your discussion with Mark Stinson.
Yes. Mhm.
Very good.
All righty.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you at our next meeting. Thank you. Okay, moving on, project monitoring. Hidden Ponds was on the list. I would imagine everybody saw the emails with the signs being redone. Other than that, I didn't have any updates or anything on that. Just wondered, did anybody else on the commission have anything under the project monitoring?
Not at this time.
No. Okay. Moving on, the next one would be other business. I did have 99 Maple Shade down as a item for that to bring up, but we've taken care of that one. Next on the agenda, I guess, would be the Neighborhood Outreach Projects Grant.
Sure. So, excuse me. I promised some slides and I haven't been able to get to them because I had another grant opportunity come up with a very fast approaching deadline. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit with all of you tonight. This is called the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. It's through the National Park Service. Essentially, they wouldn't be granting cash. It's not a cash grant. What they would be providing is a National Park Service person would provide technical assistance and guidance over a span of 5 years to East Long Meadow to help us investigate land acquisition to extend the rail trail, show us ways in which we can restore our existing trails on some of our conservation land, help us connect our trail systems to throughout the town and maybe even to connecting municipalities. It would span a variety of projects and kind of help us get our feet under us so that when we do apply for those cash grants, we know what to do with them. So that deadline is on Monday, and I'm trying to gather all the application materials together and get that in by Friday or Saturday. And I just wanted to run it by you as if we are awarded the assistance, definitely the Conservation Commission would be a big part of that project because of all the wetlands we have on all of our conservation land.
What's the name of that grant again? Sorry.
It's called, let me see. It's called the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program.
So we don't have to do anything at this point, right? You're taking care of it?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And we've been asking for letters of support from the community. We already have several. We only needed 3, but I think we're getting almost 6. So there's a lot of interest in the community, which is really great. A lot of interest at our visioning session was about expanding our options for trails in town, passive walking and hiking trails, not just the rail trail. So we do have that in town already, and part of what I'm trying to do is make sure that people know about those trails and also that they're accessible and that we have a volunteer basis to help maintain those trails moving forward.
Wow, excellent.
Thank you.
I have one question for Bethany.
Sure.
Would that include assistance with signage for the trails?
Possibly, so they wouldn't be providing
Not
cash,
actually,
but yeah, they would be helping us, trying to get community involvement in terms of having somebody from like an artist from the community design a sign, and then we can implement that and create more signage and just spread the word that those trails are around and how do we make them accessible. That's definitely part of it. They have, I can send their website out if you're interested in looking at some of their other projects. They have one.
yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, they have a project very similar to what we're trying to do in East Long Meadow in Newtown, Connecticut, and just expanding their trails, but also really doing a big outreach to their community to try to help gather that volunteer support. Because obviously our DPW can't maintain all the trails in town all the time, and the Conservation Commission cannot do that either. So we definitely need more people, and since there's such a interest in trail systems in town, I think it would be easy to get that. We just need to coordinate the effort.
Yeah. I just want to throw Tony's sister into the mix.
I was thinking of her.
She's a good artist and she has a sign business.
Yep, I immediately thought of her. I was like, she would be perfect for this. It would be awesome to have a local artist design those signs.
Don't tell her I throw her under the bus.
Something else I wanted to update the commission on. Jeff had raised questions about the balances, the funding balances, and wanted to know more about how application fees flow in and where they go and how they're assigned to the different funds. So I am meeting with the accounting director tomorrow to go over that in more detail. So hopefully I'll have some better explanations for you at the next meeting.
That'd be great.
Yep. If I can, I want to go back to that grant real quick, Bethany.
Sure.
It sounds like a great idea, but I was just wanted to ask one question. This is not, or I'm going to say land acquisition is not involved in this grant, correct?
Not necessarily land acquisition, but they could give us guidance on the steps to acquire land and what obstacles we might face so we can better plan for applying for cash grants so that we could acquire more land. And that's more focused on extending the rail trail if possible, because that's been a big topic in town.
Yeah, I know that's been looked at. That'd be a tough one, but it would be great because the rail trail is extremely popular in town.
Right.
Yep. I see people out there.
May I speak to the chair? May I speak?
Please.
Okay. As I've been attending the Community Preservation Committee meetings, there are funds available for the Conservation Commission. And if we get advised, or get possibilities through this grant for improving the trails or for acquisition of land, we shouldn't forget that we can use that as a means of applying for funding. So I just want to remind you that the funds are there. So that would be a good reason, and we would have support from the person that gets appointed to assist us, in terms of justifying it before the town council. So let's not forget that. I wanted to mention it before I forget.
No, thank you very much. And something to keep in mind too is when we just talked about the balances, we don't have the massive amount of funds that CPC has,
Yeah.
but we do have funds that are designated for land acquisition.
Right.
that we could contribute with CPC also.
There you go. That's perfect. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah. Okay. The next one was policies, I guess, and procedures of the commission. And I know Jeff wanted to speak a little bit about the project monitoring sheets. I know he's done a lot of work on that in the last week or so. If you want to elaborate, Jeff.
Basically, what I did is I took the old spreadsheet that was for it was called the NOI log. And what that was, it went all the way back to 1973. And it is a log of all the NOIs that were filed. And I can, or Bethany can, if anybody's interested to look at it, can forward out a copy of that so you can see what it is. What I did is I went back and I took all the minutes from 2018 up to January of this year. And then I worked my way backwards on the NOI log because I just, trying to do it from 73 going up to present is just too difficult. But I worked it back all the way to the beginning of 2018 and tried to update that log as best as the information I could find. I found some conflicts, which I mentioned to Bethany, but the main reason I did that is to find out where the COCs have been filed and where they haven't been filed. And all the COCs that we've done, which are certificate of compliances, back to 2018 are now recorded on there. And hopefully that can be maintained going forward. Rebecca was kind enough to provide me with the new NOI filing numbers. And like I mentioned to Bethany and Rebecca, it's real important that we use the DEP file number because that's the official number that everything runs by. I know we've been assigning an in-house case number, but when we refer to things, we really need to use that DEP file number. We can have both numbers, it's not a problem, but for our main focus, the DE file number, that's the official number that we should be using. That's what DEP goes by and refers to, and if we communicate with them, we have to provide that number. And that number has to be listed on, posted on signs at each site until the certificate of compliance is filed. And then I created a new log to just try to keep a handle. And I went back again as far as I could find, I think 2018. I don't think we issued any enforcement orders prior to 2018, or maybe they were even in 2019 were the first ones. But I had created a new separate log called the NOI enforcement log. And that's to kind of help us keep track of the enforcement orders, because a lot of these especially with the restorations, they have a 2-year time frame or two planting seasons. And we also need at the end of that 2-year period to either rescind the order or vote to have it terminated or completed. And that's why I created that. And we've got a bunch of those. In doing so, I found out that we have a lot of enforcement orders that are going to be expiring in the next couple of months. So I just want to make everybody aware of that. And hopefully going forward, we can keep that up to date. It shouldn't take more than about 5 minutes to put the information in when a new filing comes in or when an enforcement order is issued. So it should be, if we just stay up with it going forward, it shouldn't be a big deal. But there's, from what I could see from the log, there's a bunch of certificate of compliances that go back years that have never been completed. And it's going to be a monumental task to try to dig out all this information and go through, but it's basically got to be done. And at some point in the near future, I think we should draft some kind of a form letter that all we have to do is fill in the DEP file number or the parcel number or whatever, and put the name and the address of the homeowner in, and just mail them out the letter saying, we need this certificate of compliance as soon as possible. And hopefully it'll help us stay on top of the new NOIs filed, that we can get those or certificate of compliance letters or certificates done shortly after the construction period is completed. And I brought this up before. The Conservation Commission in the town of Wilbraham has gone so far because the importance that they put on this. This is a requirement by 310 CMR, by the way, that they charge or make the homeowner, when the NOI is submitted, post a bond. I've seen them, I've gotten copies of letters that they have anywhere. I've seen them for $1,000, I've seen them for $2,000. That has to be, when the NOI is approved, that money has to be paid to the town of East Long Meadow, to the Conservation Commission, and they don't refund that money until the certificate of compliance is submitted and completed. And if the homeowner doesn't file it, they actually will do the work to complete the certificate of compliance and take the money, or at least part of the money, for the costs of completing the certificate of compliance. So the people may get some of their money back, or they may get none of their money back. That's the importance that they put on this. So I just wanted to throw that out there for information for everybody.
Jeff, do you know if by they completing the work? Is that the Conservation Commission? Do they have their DPW complete it? Do you know how that works? I can.
I believe the Conservation Commission does, from what I get the gist of the letters we're saying, is I can call their Conservation Commission and find out, but the way the letters read, I believe the Conservation Commission does the work to get the certificate completed.
If I can on that, I believe the way that is by this commission completing the work that is required to get the certificate. The Conservation Commission is hiring the engineer to go out and do a site visit and draft a letter saying it is in compliance with the condition. And,
Right.
or that would be the money that they would just deduct.
Yes, yes. And also, I forgot to add that this is a bylaw that they have passed. So this is a town bylaw for the Conservation Commission on that subject.
If I can comment now, with the enforcement order log, that is a pretty important thing, because one of the things that, as we exist right now, what is the mechanism, or I don't believe there is a mechanism that, unless a commissioner or somebody knows that it's happening and has marked it down, what do we have that's notifying us that this enforcement order expires next month?
Yeah.
You know, how is the commission getting notified of that? 'Cause I believe the most recent one that's coming up, and it's due for this spring, was like 53 Tanglewood.
Yes.
Where we have to go in and
Yeah.
make sure that the trees are growing and
Yeah.
and everything is proper, and then we can, you know, say they are in compliant with the restoration project. You know, so that's real important to have that in the enforcement order. And the same thing applies in regards, you know, to the NOI log. Although we are under no legal obligation to send an applicant a letter saying that their order of conditions is expiring or anything like that, it would, or their order of conditions is expiring, it would be good to do that. As well as requesting, you know, people move on and get their certificate of compliance. Elizabeth's been around for a little bit, Francis a little bit more also, but Jeff and I have been through a lot. You know, when we get these certificates of compliance or request for a certificate of compliance years after the order of conditions has expired.
Yeah.
And it's obviously much more difficult to play catch up with it. So it would be a great thing if we could be doing that. And I would like to see us get back into the program that we had, resume the program where we were sending letters out, you know, asking for these people to, you know, apply for their certificate of compliance. Because one of the things you keep in mind is everybody that has an open notice of intent out there, the Conservation Commission still has a right to go onto that property without even notifying the homeowner. We typically do some kind of notification. But, you know, it is a better thing if we can get these cleaned up. And it really is. Just, it's better for the commission, and it's better for the person that owns the order of conditions.
Well, it's beneficial for the homeowner because if the certificate of compliance isn't filed, technically they're not supposed to transfer the deed if they're selling the house until that's completed.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, with 53 Old Farm, we ran into a situation where their attorney managed to find a loophole where it can pass on to the new homeowner. But here again, the new homeowner had no clue about any of this, and all of a sudden we're sending them a letter saying, you've got to do this, and they're going like, what just happened here?
Yep. Francis?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Jeff for updating logs. And I think the first step in keeping all this in order is that enforcement log. You know, having a log that tells us when it's time for the certificate of compliance to expire and when it's time for the enforcement order to expire so that we can be ahead of the game. And I would love it if somebody could propose some draft letters and then we can either approve or disapprove them, because then we're getting on track. Because going through that whole thing with Old Farm Road and the new owners, we didn't even know there was a new owner. You see, I mean, we're not being informed and we don't have time to go looking for these things. So I think having that, the organization so that we know what's coming up next will get us right on track. And thank you, Jeff. I'd like to really thank you for that.
You're welcome.
When we were doing that before and we were sending out letters for certificates of compliance, essentially what we were doing, we would assign a couple to each commissioner and to go do a site visit.
Mhm.
And essentially on the vast majority of those, it was a drive-by site visit. You know, because you can tell if you drive by and the house is done and complete and people are living there, you would be assuming that they should be applying for a certificate of compliance. And at that time, we did have a form letter that existed requesting that they file for one. And, it cited the regulation stating that they need to do it. Because essentially that is in all of our orders of conditions in the boilerplate section of it, that they need to file for a certificate of compliance. It's there and it's in every one we do.
I just want to, Don just put a thing up on the screen that there's somebody, I think Karen in the audience. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sorry. No, that was just, there were a couple attendees who jumped on and now they're gone.
Oh, okay.
And it's left. Yep. Yep. Bethany?
Sorry, I was just trying to figure out who the attendees were too, just because they wrote in the Q&A section. So I got distracted.
Okay.
Well, I can just click on that Q&A thing right now.
Yep. They
Oh.
just typed the letter 9, so I was worried that they were a Zoom bomber. That's
Oh,
Yeah, it's gone. So that's
you have Zoom
They're gone.
bombers now?
I've never heard that before.
Me either.
They're out there.
yeah. They just come in and disrupt the meeting with
foolishness.
I haven't experienced it myself, so I'm a little paranoid. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you to Jeff for spending all that time fixing up the logs. They were originally a handwritten log that were scanned in different angles, so you had to constantly change the view, and it was horrible. And then we had one of our swap volunteers enter it all into that Google Doc. So there's definitely human error, possibly even from that handwritten log, which Jeff, I'm happy to send out to you. I think we may have sent it out a year or so ago, but discrepancies in the numbers I'm not surprised by, just because it was going from a very old handwritten log and then transferring it to the Google Doc. So there's definitely possibility for human error in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that
Because
doesn't surprise me,
I've
but-
definitely found some discrepancies between DEP file numbers and addresses that they were associated to. So
Absolutely, and it's tough because the earlier Concom records were all filed by DEP numbers, which is great, and it is much easier to find them referencing the DEP number. But then there was a large section of time where they were filed by street name or subdivision street name, and that is so hard to find files for. It's hard to find the original street that the subdivision might have been built on, and then they built out streets within that subdivision, so there could be names. There's multiple different names, so that's a whole mess, and that spans a chunk of time. So the records are definitely in need of proper archiving, and that's, I think, a town-wide project that hopefully we'll be able to get to within the next couple of years. But Concom isn't alone. It's definitely a town-wide issue with our records system.
With that, in the past, just an FYI on that, Tom Florence did come to CPC
Mhm.
when I was on the CPC. It did not qualify under
Okay.
the
I think
conditions to get a grant for the archiving of documents
that's
under CPC. It didn't meet the requirements.
Yeah, I think our current
Yeah.
town clerk, Jeannie, is hoping to put it down as a capital plan next fiscal year.
Mhm.
I don't know if she met the deadline for this coming, so it would be 23, fiscal year 23. But it's definitely in the works. It's something every department wants to fix. So we're not alone in that. And whenever that does come around, it will definitely benefit whenever we're trying to find these files.
Yep. Okay. The only other item I had was I just wanted to follow up and make sure that we've got some kind of a line item in the new budget for a part-time conservation officer.
I don't think it's not in the capital plan for this coming year, but I believe it's in the 5-year capital plan. I don't know if that answers your question.
Can we get it added as a line item for the budget this year?
I can speak with the town accountant tomorrow and see what the options are for that. I think it's a little late. I think they were starting to gather those capital plans in the fall. So I would start the research about now to submit it for the next capital plan.
You know, I just wanted to say that we've been asking for this over a year, at least since I've been on the commission, which is almost 2 years now. So
Right.
I think that really they should consider the fact that this has been, we've asked that this be considered, and unfortunately they just passed us by. So maybe they'll put it on thinking about that.
Right, right.
Through the chair, I would just like to comment on that. And just in the amount of time that it took me to go through this and update this log, I spent probably 4 8-hour days doing all this work.
Wow.
But the real hard part, okay, I had minutes to go by back to 2018. There's minutes to go back further. But this is part of the task that the part-time conservation agent could be doing. And they could be following up and making sure that these people file their for certificate of compliance. He could be going out and inspecting the sites and so forth. I think the justification is definitely there. I don't think there's enough justification for a full-time position, but I do think there's enough justification for at least 15 to 20 hours a week that this person would definitely be busy. Not only that, a lot of people on the commission work, and in the future there may be more that work than are retired, and we get calls for violations in the middle of the day, and people can't leave work to go check on this. And a lot of times, I know from my own personal experience going out, if you're not there within 15 or 20 minutes of the phone call, some of these people they've hit and run. They've already done the damage and gone. So you can't stop it, as it's happening. Because if people don't get an email or see their email till after they get home at night, and by the time they get out there, the damage could be already done. Whereas this conservation agent would probably be available and be more readily available to go out, immediately or certainly within a day to investigate the violation.
And I don't know, I just look at the budget's doesn't need to be in for a while. I mean, it's February, and when does the budget need to get done? Gets approved?
So I just had my first meeting yesterday for it. So I'm already meeting with the town accountant tomorrow, so I'm happy to bring it up and just see what steps are required to, I'm not sure if it would be a capital, if it would be for the capital plan or if it would be part of the operation budget. So that's something to clarify.
I'm assuming it's part of the operational budget. And like I said previously, I would assume that they're not going to approve it, but I think we really need to get it in there, and I would have no problem in attending with another commissioner, or we could maybe appoint a commissioner or two to actually attend the budget hearing meeting and explain to the town council why we need a part-time agent.
Right.
Great.
I mean, it would seem to me that there's plenty of time left, and we really should be able to get it at least added for an item of discussion and just put it in there.
Yeah, I feel like it's urgent. I mean, really, this is something that's been needed for years and we just keep getting overlooked. So,
On the other side too, that person could also maybe help do some maintenance of the trails through the conservation area, or at least periodically go through and make sure they're not being littered, or damage isn't being done, or, you know, if a tree comes down somewhere or whatever that's blocking the trail, you know, can notify DPW or whoever, so we can get it taken care of.
You know, and
Absolutely.
I look at it too, that we did well in excess of 100 site visits last year. And we could have done a lot more.
Yeah.
We could still do a much better job monitoring projects, but, you know, sooner or later for the volunteer commission, time comes into play here. You know, then how much time can we actually be spending monitoring projects?
Right.
So, yeah, if you could advise us on that, Bethany, that would be great. And
Sure, I'm
do
happy
whatever.
I'm happy to bring it up tomorrow and see what our options are with the town accountant and the budget so far.
I have a question. At one point, we were talking about our budget, our funds for the Conservation Commission. Could any of that be used to help get the conservation agent or not?
Possibly. I don't know if it would be a sustainable source to pay a salary, even if it's a part-time.
Well, maybe not the whole salary, but we could
Right.
offer a certain amount possibly. Can you ask about that and let us know
Sure.
next time? Thank you.
Yep.
I don't believe it can,
Oh,
but I
okay.
believe what Bethany said is correct in regards to the sustainability of it. Even if we were paying 20% of the person's salary, because it can only come out of one of the buckets,
Oh,
but it would empty the bucket in a year or less than a year.
okay,
Yeah, so
thank you.
I don't think that would.
It was worth a try to try and get it
Oh, great
moving.
to ask.
You-
Great to ask, yep.
Just for your information, Francis, the only income that we get is from filings, from NOI filings, or like the ANRAD filing. We don't get fees for RDAs, and if we levied fines, then we'd have those fees. But other than that, our income is limited to whatever fees we generate from mainly NOIs and filings of that sort.
And what is it used for? Because we have money right now, but what do we use it for?
There's specific ways that you can use it, and it's different for each fund. I have an email that explains that from our prior
Oh, I'll look it
town
up.
accountant. So the one that we most often use is the Wetlands Protection Act fund, and that would be for if the Conservation Commission wanted any books or materials or that sort of thing. We've taken from that fund for books, but I can send that out to you all as well. I can't remember off the top of my head what.
Thank you. I
Seminar.
really appreciate that.
It also pays for, I believe it also pays for our MAC dues. And like when you go to seminars for MAC or whatever,
For the
or any
conference.
training things that we get charged for, the funds come out of that.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Did anybody have anything else they wish to bring up this evening?
I'm good.
All righty. Thank you all for attending, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All righty, roll call vote. Jeffrey,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Elizabeth.
Aye.
I am a yes vote also. Thank you, Rebecca, Bethany, and Mr. Mackey.
Good night.
Take care.
Night all.